Alright, before I get into this, I'm just going to go over the builds for Vine. This right here is what I would consider like the standard build. This is basically the most standard of standard builds. They have, sometimes maybe people go um, Edge of Night instead of Starlock's Gauge. But for the most part, this is what it looks like. Minus like sudden impact, they may go brutal or Hunter Vampirism or probably Triumph if you want to be super like the most meta standard quote unquote. Even though I feel like if you're gonna go Triumph, you might as well just go Weakness so you can get the extra 5% damage for 100% of their health, plus your allies also getting the extra 5% damage instead of just at 34.999% of it. But I personally would tell you that the best rune to go on Vi is Sudden Impact because basically, and also for any of these builds, you just so you know, you can go Aftershock. Some people think it's their best rune. Some people think Conqueror. It's really a personal decision. I think it depends on how whether you'd rather be tankier, or you'd rather do a little bit more damage. Either way, and because it doesn't really matter which way you go, because really Vi kind of has an issue with both. The thing about Vi is she's incredibly balanced. She doesn't really have a weakness. Her really only real weakness is she doesn't have like some kind of overwhelming strength. So she's either like in the early game she either a doesn't do too much, she doesn't do enough damage, or she's not tanky enough. It's either one. If either one of them was more powerful, then she would be better. And really that's kind of like her problem like throughout the game though. Is she doesn't really have she doesn't have any AoE abilities besides like the little bit of splash off of her empowered autos from her third ability. And so she doesn't have the ability to just like so she doesn't really team fight very well because she's single target oriented. But really her strength though is the ability to lock a single champion down like a Master Yi or like a Katarina. Like I don't think I've ever lost to a Katarina. Ever. I know a lot of people have a problem with her, but like if you're playing jungle and you pick Vi, they pick Katarina, you pick Vi. And then literally every team fight, you just wait for her to go in, use her ult, you just push your ult right on top of her, boom, hit her, knock her out of it, and then blow her up. She doesn't get resets, she doesn't get kills, she doesn't win the game. It's basically that simple. But basically, with Vi, a lot of people want to lumber him with like Zenzao or like J4, and that kind of like a tanky-ish bruiser-ish thing. But I don't know. I kind of see her separate from them two. Those two I kind of will put together because they both, even though I say that J4 and Vive basically have almost the exact same kit, really. But the thing about J4 is he's so much stronger. J4 and Zenzao are like super strong in the early game. I have lovingly called J4 the Fat Lee Sin because he just, they both, and so is Zenzao. Like, Zenzao can actually beat, Lee Sin, early game, but Vi cannot. Vi just doesn't have, she doesn't have any weakness. She just doesn't have any, like, overwhelming strengths either. And she didn't fall off as hard as those two champs in the late game, but she's, also, she's just kind of like, she's just very solid or strong ish throughout the entire game. I would say that her mid game and her late game are better than her early game, but I would say that's her weakest point. So, what I tend to do is go sudden impact because it has the most effect on the game in the early game. 13 armor pin or whatever, or magic pin, both. Really helps earlier in the match as opposed to later whenever people have more armor and more magic resist. But the next build, this is one, a build that I probably use the most. This is like whenever I feel like, and inside the game we'll see later. I'm basically, I think the only other melee on my team is a Yone, and so since I'm not a tank or whatever, and I don't really believe in building tank items a whole lot. Like, it's just that if you play as a tank and you're in solo queue, you cannot overcome a bad teammates. It's just not possible. Like you can't have like an 0-6 bot lane or whatever, and still win as a tank. It's not possible. So this is more of my my tanky build. And then, which this one also, I mean, this build is probably her strongest mid game. This one right here, out of all the ones that I have, this one's probably a little bit stronger late game. I mean, she still is not like going to be vain or anything late game, but she's very, very, very strong late game. You have a ton of AD, a ton of health, and you got some resistances to make yourself a little bit tanky, and you have a bunch of ability haste as well. The last one is this one right here. Now this build is really the one that I basically, like, if I, for some reason, I take Vi, like they pick Katarina, I pick Vi, and then the enemy jungler decides he's going to go Lee Sin, like I will go this build to basically attempt to mirror him. And what I will do is I will, like, instead of him just like outpacing me, out tempoing me by spam ganking, the entire map, and me not being able to keep up with like the same tempo and the same, and try to keep pace with him, what I'll do is, you can't fight him one-on-one clearly, like right off the bat, but what you can do is taking, y'all moves first will give you a lot of speed, and it is so broken at being at 2,800 gold for all the stats and stuff that you get, because then plus the 15 armor pin, plus sudden impact, like as soon as you get that item, like you'll be like, man, I do a lot of damage for playing Vibe or whatever. You'll feel it, especially if the other team's got a whole bunch of squishies. Great, it's a great build to go. And then basically you just kind of mirror him, and if he's ganking on one side, you gank on the other, and then you just basically keep the pace and the tempo with him until it gets a little bit later in the game whenever your power spike outgrows him, and then you can really kind of take over the game because you don't fall off nearly as hard as he does. And that's basically the thought process behind this build. And like, I do know that yes, I have Sterox Gauge, and that I do have Maul of Malmortius, but like, and I know that they both have Lifeline, but to me, I don't really care if, like, I get hit by physical damage or true damage and it puts me below 35% health and I get this shield, or if it's magic damage that, puts me under 35, so I get this shield. The thing I'm worried about is getting the thing below it, is the 30% tenacity and the 30 attack damage and 10% omnivamp, because I do get both of those, no matter what. So, to me, if I have enough tenacity and I have enough omnivamp and I have enough AD, either A, I can punch myself, back to, having enough health to live, or they can't CC me down and prevent me from either escaping or, or whatever. So, like, to me, I'm okay with a little bit of randomness on which shield I get, because they're both going to help me either way. And the other two passives are, very, very, very beneficial, and I want them both. So, and then plus I get a ton of, health, and I get a ton of AD, and I get, some ability haste while I'm at it. So, and I always get a shield. So, to me, instead of them like fighting each other, I kind of feel like it's almost, it evens out on the shield thing, but then it's always still more a plus because of the two secondary passives. But, that's everything. I guess we'll get into like the combos next, and then we'll go into the gameplay. Well, before I show any of these combos, really quickly, I'm going to show you this because a bunch of you probably have wondered this, but never knew how to make it work in practice mode. As you can see, I have 48 ability haste right now, and if I want to sit and get like my Hunter Titan or whatever, I'm going to sit and make these gummies right here, because this is where you'll actually kill them. Anywhere else you can't kill them. And so that is how you can sit and swap champs around a whole bunch and a whole bunch of other stupid stuff, but this is how you will actually kill and get all of your stacks of like Hunter Titan or Hunter Vampirism. Okay, before we get into this, I'm just going to go over the combos really quickly. Okay, first one is the one everybody knows, your Q Flash. You sit, you're going to, whatever distance this goes, that's how far you will flash, and then you will travel, like in the line, this distance. Like your normal, like this animation
is how far you will travel with this. I know it's counterintuitive, but that's kind of how it goes. So I'll show you one more time. And also you can easily like pass over them, like see if you just happen to go beyond them, like, so you have to know this range beforehand. You already kind of just have this mentally
yeah, that's it. Those are the builds I use.
And then you just have to add it onto this.
Combos next, explain how they work.
It is also very unforgiving. You can land short very easily, but the combo that I think that you really need to know, like, that one's nice and flashy and all, but like, it's not going to be the one that like really like sets you apart. The one that's going to set you apart is ulting in. Now this does not proc your passive, but then as soon as that happens, now did you see how I got that shield to bust twice, basically all in that go? That is essentially the biggest burst that you're going to be able to do with Vi. So as you'll see here, this, your denting blows or whatever, your third attack on the same enemy, does percent health, and then it reduces their armor, increases Vi's attack speed. This, your first ability, does apply it. This does not. So that's why we're going to be punching twice before we actually use our E. So 1, 2, third ability first, and then bam. And that is how you'll do it. You can do it even smoother as long as you get used to the timing of it.
Enemy slain. Ally slain. Enemy killing spree. Ally slain. Top turret is under attack. Top turret is under attack. Bottom turret is under attack. Enemy slain. You have slain an enemy.
Alright, we're gonna get into this. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this match is starting about like 3 minutes and a half into the match. I've already gotten a gank and a kill, and then I think I died while getting that gank or something. I rooted or something like that. Basically, whenever I had this recording, I started up, and then like I accidentally like tapped my little overlay on my screen and shut it off, and then turned it right back on. But then immediately, like, or later on, whenever I was going through my film, I didn't really realize or remember that like I had like a small like 3-minute clip and then it went on to to the rest of the gameplay. So you will be seeing this basically from here. So so I went down there, tried to get a gank, didn't get it.
Bottom turret is under attack.
This is a let me see here. I'm trying to get Scuttle. I'm gonna move up. I am trying to get on up here and help this guy out, and then get the first objective. Also, by the way, clearly at the beginning, I did standard red clear that you will see me do in a lot of other of my videos. I believe, yes. I think this was a game that I chose also because they have a Master Yi, and I know sometimes people, especially lower E people, have issues dealing with him. As you can see right there, I don't even worry about Master Yi. Like, he is so simple as, like, if you play Vi to beat him. I've never really, there for a while though, like whenever like climbing through like, I don't know, like platinum or whatever, like it's almost simpler to just ban him the entire time though, because most of like 99% of all the people playing jungle in that elo will literally just spam him. So if you just ban him, then the other person is basically without the only champion they ever play ever. So you just put them at a disadvantage right off the bat. Even though like I don't fear him at all, it's just that I always felt like it was more advantageous for me to just take away somebody's little comfort pick or whatever. So there's some more advice for you as well if you want to go on that. Here we're going to go forward. As you can see, I believe that I'm using the Black Cleaver Divine Thunderer build in this game. Most of the, as you can see, that I'm really the only like strong front line that's like even got a little bit of tankiness to them. But Vi's not really a tank, so if anybody believes that, they're kind of wrong. She's not a tank. Like, she goes in one direction, and she doesn't have any ability to turn around and peel for the back line. She's not like Nautilus, who can throw her hook or whatever, throw his hook, and then like grab somebody and then root them to the ground, and throw his ult through like the other three as like somebody dives the back line while he just like walks over and hits them once and roots them to the ground. Like, that's a tank. Like Vi using like her ult and hitting somebody and then using her first ability and then hitting them for like 2.5 second stuns is not a tank. There I die though. Not the best play by me. And really, honestly, I had almost 3 hours of film of different Vi games, and the games that I played my absolute best all ended in a loss. Got SVP, probably almost like 998 or 1000 GPM or whatever, and it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to carry like an 06 bot lane or whatever. Because the enemy like ADC's like hyper fed or whatever, and as you'll notice there with my build, I think that I went that this game. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll start Black Cleaver, and then depending on if they've got even the hint of a strong AP champ, I'll just move straight into Wit's End. I'll buy Thornmail and move in, especially on this next patch whenever the next items come in, which I figure that some of these builds will be changing by then. But either way, that Thornmail's getting it's becoming cheaper. So now 1,000 gold will be 800 gold. That'll make it even easier to go in like this. So then you get a little bit. You get your get health, get AD, and then you'll be able to get your some sustain from Wit's End, the attack speed, and then you also get, some armor and magic resist. So got him, I'm gonna move in. And then a lot of times, and you'll kind of notice this, that what I'll do a lot with is I'll go in and I'll hit a few times, I'll get my shield up, and then I'll back out. Because really, she can't just take a ton of damage, once again, she's not a tank. She's a bruiser. So, but she's very mobile. Which this guy messes up right there. See, huge mistake by him. Huge mistake. Like, he wanted to come in and get me, and he tried to use his first ability onto me. Not that it was going to get me anyways, I was going to use my shield. You just wait long enough and put it up, and then all you're going to do is use both of your stuns and lock him down and destroy him. And clearly, and I think honestly, my first kill that probably was missed on this game was probably on that Master Yi. Wukong is another champion you just can't really beat as Vi. Like, there are a few champions that you should never, ever, ever, if like an enemy jungler is a champion that you shouldn't pick Vi. Like, if they play, I don't know, like Olaf, she has a hard time. She can't beat Olaf. She can't beat... Really, honestly, it's funny. She really can't beat J4 just because he can beat her so badly early that, like, it will leave you out of the game and unable to really win it. Or, like, you might be able to beat... I don't know. It's been a long time since I played J4 as Vi. I might be able to play a little bit differently. But from what I remember is he just beats you early because he's just stronger than you early, which basically puts you behind and makes it where you can't really go into it. And Wukong's the other one. Like, that one, don't try it. Like, Wukong just does too much damage. He's too good at team fighting, and he knocks you up. And since you go in, you know, you just basically barrel head first into team fights, and then he just knocks you up and then knocks you off your game. And then you're not able to really, like, sit and keep applying pressure and hitting people and, you know, getting your first ability back. You sit and just make little stuns throughout the fight. You know, because Vi's not really the best team fighter anyways. So, we're going to go back here. I see this, the Yi back over here. He's not going to be able to contest. We have everybody there. All he's going to do is go in and basically get destroyed. I think he kind of figures this out by now, since he's already tried a couple times to jump in, and I think he realizes that I'm waiting for him. And basically that's literally how you handle that, or like Katarina. Like, I know some people like really hate Katarina. Well, I mean, really, to be perfectly fair, the person who needs to take care of her would be a jungler who would pick Vi, because I don't think I've ever lost to a Katarina. I'm not sure I've ever lost to one. Even though I know some people say that she's like toxic and horrible, but like, I've never lost to one because I would just pick Vi, and then she dives in, she uses her ult, I use my ult, she dies, that's it. And then their team doesn't get a bunch of wipes and a bunch of free kills because one person just like gets a bunch of resets and just gets to use their abilities over and over and over.
Enemy double kill. Ally slain.
But so I'm gonna go through here. And I knew he was farming my jungle. I felt that pretty strongly. And I probably could have dove him, but I didn't know what was beyond that, like out there in the river. And I had a pretty strong feeling that probably the rest of his team was sitting there. So I felt like if I sat and dove in on him, all he was going to do is flash forward or whatever and drag me into the middle of him. And that was going to be the end of that. So I refrained from actually going and engaging him. He took my chickens, whatever. I've killed him like 3 times now. I see him, and I'm like, hey, let's get him.
Unstoppable.
Oh, I want this. Yeah, this Jhin right here, he's been a huge issue throughout the game. So, boom, we're going to get him. I see all them over this wall, so I'm going to try to flank them really quickly and flash through. And I'm going to go right in for this Wukong, and hopefully my team will come around here to help me. See, yeah, it's just so hard. Oh, my God, I can't believe that I didn't get that first ability in on him. I'm like... It wasn't enough, or maybe he may have knocked me up the second time. That's what jostled me out of that, because I noticed that like it still went on the cooldown. But either way, still got away from him. Still got away. That's the thing with Vi. Like you have to use your second ability very defensively, almost like in the same way like you use like your gargoyle stone plate. Like as you know, like when you see like a locked on ability like Axe Sean or whatever, it's like ultimate or whatever. You just got to make sure that, you know, throughout the fight, like certain abilities, just make sure that you pop that shield up and block a little bit of that damage, and it'll make you appear much tankier than you actually are. Because that's really like where Vi's tankiness kind of comes from, is just having that little shield throw up every once in a while. And right here, yeah, we get that. The objective, and I back because I know that they're coming. We were all having backed about, you know, recently. We don't have our you know, any of our we haven't bought any items. I know they have, and you know, most of them were low health and low on mana, and I was like, all right, guys, get out. And I tell them to retreat, and they don't do it. They just get it. I don't know if it ever stops. I'm not sure it ever stops. Dealing with people who just have bloodlust and they can't ever figure out in their head that, hey, it's just time to take the wins you can get and then get out, because it's not worth it if you get a bunch of gains and then die, because then all you do is just give a shutdown back to them or whatever. So we're gonna go through here. I see this guy, so we're gonna go over here, clear him out, and then since I wasn't urgent enough to go and drop this Rift Herald earlier, I'm going to sit here and clear and push this one forward. I'm pretty positive my team is going to fight off to the side without me and die while I'm taking these towers. Or no, never mind. Must have been a different game that I'm remembering. They're all kind of blur together after you have like 5 of them and you sit and watch them all. Well, yeah, there, took him out. It's just been which I'm just going to sit here and take this for a minute, since we don't really have very many minions. I still want to get the tower. sit and and also if you're ever inside the enemy jungler and you just or enemy's jungle and you just sat there and killed him or killed a few people, like, and there's camps sitting there standing, make sure you get those. Like, that's gold. It's not just gold that you get, it's gold that they don't get anymore. Like, that's the more like that's almost the more important thing, is the fact that they're not getting gold. Like, you are literally stealing it from them. It's not just that, like, you're earning and like you're earning more and you're keeping your flow as high as you can. It's that you are literally, it's like a double gain. You're getting gold and they're losing it. Right here, I'm just kind of going through my build. I'm at this point, they don't really have very many tanky champions except for Wukong, and so I'm like, do I even really want this Divine Sunderer? I was like, I don't know yet. I've been trying to decide whether I want it or not, but in the end, I think I still take it, just because simply it still gives you a heal. Still is a Sheen proc, which is really great on Vi, just because of the way of with her empowered autos and everything. And you'll see here, and I mean, like before fights and stuff, or like when I'm getting up to it, I'm getting ready, I'll just charge my my first ability up, getting ready, because I feel like a lot of times, like right here, I won't really just engage it. I may just sit here and wait and see if anybody wants to step forward. I know that you walk slower and stuff, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. It can either, help you, because it does put it on cooldown whenever you actually drag it up there and tell it to quit. So like sometimes you may need it, and it just happens to go off cooldown or whatever, but you have to really, because it takes a moment for it to wind up, I don't feel like it's very beneficial to just kind of let it sit there and charge up, or, as you're going. So I usually try to, especially whenever I know we're about to have a full engagement. As you can see right here, I'm already going through their jungle and stuff. Now this right here, this is so troll. Like, I don't want to do this at all. Like, I just want to back out, and they just want to fight, and Annie misses her ult. And so basically nobody got stunned, and they just got blown up. And really, I believe right now I am a very large majority of our gold at this point. Not 100% sure. I can't remember if it was this game or another one. I know another one, most of my teammates are a good 5k below me. I see I'm gonna dodge around this guy and keep going. I've still got shields. I'm still gonna get. Now I get low. This is so dumb, because I probably could have gotten out, but I was just, at the same time, I was afraid that I was gonna die anyway. So I felt like I should just take one of them out. If I'm going down, you're going with me, kind of mentality. But after rewatching it, I think that I felt like I probably could have gotten away there if I wouldn't have done that. But maybe barely, but I think I would have gotten away, possibly. I kind of feel like it's over right here.
Enemy slain.
And
Shut down.
just because it seems like, I felt like the tides had turned there, and as you can see, it's 24 versus 23 kills now. And I think it's because most of my team has fed pretty hard. Actually, really, no, they haven't. It's kind of crazy. I guess really, it just felt like we were, up on them more than what it was, and maybe it's probably because the big damage dealers on our team are really the ones that don't have any gold. Like me and Annie are the two with the most gold right now.
Enemy turret destroyed.
This does kind of turn here. This is the thing. This is the one problem I have with Vi, and clearly because I have 4 SVP games that I played better than this one, but just couldn't finish it. And I remember there's another channel. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name. I think he's Rabinga or something like that. He's great stuff. Does jungle guides or whatever. But on one of his latest tier lists, he said that basically he was taking Vi off his S plus and moving her down to S, because he just felt he had too many games where he got a big lead and then just fell apart.
Victory.
Later. And at the time, I told him that I thought maybe it was probably because he was going Trinity Force, and if it was either his damage or if it was his tankiness, either one that he couldn't hold up with, I was like, it would probably help him more if he tried to figure out a way to use Divine instead as his main core item like that. And it still doesn't matter. I've ran the same problem he did. I used to not run